House Judiciary Committee member Matt Gaetz is warning that former 2020 Democratic candidate Michael Bloomberg could be facing a criminal probe after reportedly raising $16 million to pay off the fines of 32,000 convicted felons in Florida in order for them to vote in November.
I spoke to the Florida Attorney General last night, and a criminal probe may already be underway. It is a felony for someone to either directly or indirectly offer something of value to impact whether or not someone votes. So in this case, you have the question of whether or not paying someone's restitution and court costs constitutes something of value. When you extinguish a liability, when you improve your balance sheet, when you improve your net worth, that is, of course, something of value.
This all stems from a Bloomberg memo obtained by the Washington Post, which reads, quote, "We know to win Florida, we will need to persuade, motivate, and add new votes to the Biden column. This means we need to explore all avenues for finding the needed votes when so many votes are already determined." So, Emily, the law in Florida allows felons to vote after they have fully served their sentences, but the law also requires that the felons themselves pay off the fines or any other legal fees they may have. And when you have the Bloomberg team openly saying we're paying people to vote for Biden, that sure sounds like bribery to me.
Right. Well, and that's what the congressman is arguing. And that's exactly why the court here will be so important, because it will be up to them to determine whether, in fact, that is a thing of value. A word, however, given I've spent hundreds of hours in federal prisons and jails, and I feel differently about restoring votes to felons. There's rough calculations at about 24 million convicted felons in this country, and I don't agree with condemning them to a civic death. There's not enough time in this show to go into why those fines and obligations are so crippling and such an example of budget dysfunction and bureaucratic bloat in this country. So I am all for easing the transition of these felons back into society and aiding their reentry. Reminder, over 10% of those convicted felons are U.S. veterans as well. So for all of us we kind of have a bipartisan support into criminal justice reform and the like, it behooves all of us to support that reentry and restoring civic benefits to these guys. Of course, there are exceptions, obviously, but I think the courts here will decide that. But I'm not going to support condemning them to that kind of civic death.
Well, Melissa, the Florida state legislature and the governor also believe that felons should have a second chance at voting once they fulfill their obligations. The issue here is whether Michael Bloomberg is bribing these people by paying off their fees and legal obligations to the state in return for 32,000 votes for Joe Biden. That's the issue here.
Right. Well, there's no guarantee, of course, that those people are going to go out and vote for Joe Biden. I think what bothers me about this story is anytime you talk about one of these guys, you should talk about the larger group. But there are a number of people who are using their great wealth in order to influence the system, influence politics, and influence elections, whether we are talking about Michael Bloomberg or Tom Steyer or George Soros or the Koch brothers or any of those folks who go out there and use their vast wealth. Every time you see the situation, you want to drill down on the details, because at our heart, our country is supposed to be about a level playing field, one person, one vote. And when you see somebody get in there and use a giant mountain of money to influence an election, it is inherently uncomfortable. At the same time, it's their money, it's their right. You just have to do it legally, and maybe legislators want to take a look at what these folks are doing and make the appropriate laws to stop them from doing that. Those are my thoughts.
Leslie, real quickly, from the Democrat point of view.
I got to be honest. I looked at the law today. I'm an attorney, did 5 minutes in law school. Florida Rights Restoration Coalition is a part of this, and that's what Bloomberg is working with. The problem really isn't the money, but when you look under Florida law, third-degree felony for someone to directly or indirectly provide something of value to impact whether someone votes or not who they vote for. It's not just the money. It's further a memo, quite frankly, that the Bloomberg camp put out that could be difficult, quite frankly, when it comes to trying to help these people pay their fines after they've paid their debts to society so that they can vote this November.